Perfect.
All right, so welcome to week 4, everyone. We're now at the finish line. So you remember last week how we were talking about week 3 could sometimes feel that there's this wall and it's all about pushing through that wall. Well, now we're pretty much at this home stretch. We're right there about to make it, and we have a lot to reflect on this month. There was a lot of topics we have addressed. We addressed storytelling and how its structure applies to presentations. We went into the what is versus what could be. We got dirty with planning, went into research about demographics, psychographics, understanding a desired result, also outlining your beginning, middle, and end of your presentation. But what is the point of all these lessons? Well, the overall compilation of these lessons is to gather it all together. So it's to empower you with the ability to create this final project. But even more so, we hope that these basic foundations and these lessons for this month, you can carry on and not only to your future classes, but in your future as well for your careers or for anything that you seek to do. These are things that can carry into the professional realm. So we definitely want you to apply these lessons in your prospective careers. It can go whether it be that you already have your business and you're seeking investors, or you want to go after that dream job, or you're really wanting to venture forth into community service and working with foundations. Either way, these skills that you are learning and have learned this last month can definitely be applied anytime. So what do we have going on for tonight? Well, for tonight, we're definitely going to go further into our maximum impact part 3 assignment, which is the 4.2 assignment. We're also going to review over a few notes about the 4.3 final draft. We're going to talk about the student survey briefly. And we're also, we want to go ahead and take time to answer any questions. We want to hear from you guys. This is like a really great time to just pick our brains. Let Trish and I know what's on your mind. What are some things you want to tweak in your assignments? And then also we're going to be talking over about wrapping everything up, and it's just, all I know is that it's just been I know it could be a very intense month. It's considering it's December, we're close to the holidays, but you guys have been, those that have been putting the efforts, you're really going to see the fruits of your efforts. As Trish just said, it's time we're going to bring it all together like rock stars. So we talked about how presentations can be impactful to people. What's one of the things that why presentations are impactful? Let's talk about it in the chat. Or if anyone wants to get on the mic and raise their little hand, I'll unmute you. But I want to hear from you guys. Why are presentations powerful? What do you guys think from this month? What are some reasons you could think of why presentations are powerful? Sonia just says they draw emotions from listeners. That's definitely one. Darnell says they can be influencing. They very well can be. Can we keep it going? Let's come up with some more reasons. Why are presentations so powerful? Roderick talks about visualizations and messaging. Okay, but in what way? How so? In what ways are these visualizations and messaging powerful? I mean, we got from Sonia, they could draw emotion from listeners. Darnell said they can be influencing. I, for one, can say, Trish is saying they move people, yes. Lisa says because they have the power to convey emotions by the way you present. Very much so. And we're going to go into further details and reiteration of the topics we discussed this month about ways to make your presentations powerful. Adams is saying a lot of info in a short amount of time is limited. You have a short amount of time. A lot of us we're always working on a lot of time. For the final project, you have 3 to 4 minutes. And working on allotted time is something that, and with deadlines, is something that everyone encounters, definitely in the professional environment. I mean, also power presentations that you're literally convincing people sometimes to let go of an opinion or belief they've had a long time to side with you. And Trish is making a good point. It's amazing what you can do with that allotted time if you use the tools effectively. And that's what all this is about. The foundational tools we give you, you can tweak them and work with them and build upon them to further your presentation skills. Now, we're going to go into maximum impact text part 3. So as you guys know, we first started with maximum impact 2, which was the foundation of this assignment. And in the part 1 of the assignment, you were to take the slides you have that we offered you. You were to go ahead and, based on those slides and the presenter notes, go ahead and create slide titles and text based on the presenter notes and place them on already the pre-made slides that we provided. And then from part 2, the second assignment, you worked on applying the feedback that Trish and I gave you, as well as adjusting the color, contrast, font size, opacity, potentially adding shapes, overall working to create enhancement of your text. So by the time we're now in part 3, you're no longer creating enhancements of the text. Your text should already be formatted to the way where now you can move on to animation and playing with animation. Now, the animation I'm talking about is not professional animation like from softwares like Maya. No, already PowerPoint and Keynote comes with built-in animation effects for your text and your slides. So for this assignment, with the text that now you have finalized, you're going to go ahead and apply animation to your text and to your slides. So we're going to want to see you practicing on these additional tools. And so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about animation. When we talk about animation, like I said, we're solely addressing transitions, the motions of slides, the motions of text, shapes, or objects within your presentation. As I said, in no way we're talking about complicated softwares like Maya's. I know I have computer animation folks here, so you definitely know what Maya is. But if no one is aware, Maya is a type of program that is built to do animations. So we're not asking for anyone to be professional animators. But animation, you should know, can be very useful. Because sometimes when slides are just going from one slide to the other, it can seem like a little dull. But animation can be useful because when it's done correctly versus being overdone, when it's being done correctly, it can be a beautiful transition to one slide another. Also, when animation is done correctly, it can bring your audience back into focus, especially if you sense that your audience at a certain point could possibly disengaged in a certain portion of your presentation. When an audience member will see something moving, they're more prone to now pay attention because they're like, what just moved across the screen? So when it's cool to have movements of objects, slides, text, or shape, you want to make sure they make sense and they seem natural and familiar. You never want to overdo it because overdoing animation can be a little cheesy sometimes. So you definitely want to achieve a certain balance. So one of the great things about animation, as I just mentioned, it can draw your audience attention back. When people notice movement, they're more focused. They're more inclined to try to watch that movement, see if it comes again. So animation is a great way for entertainment and a great way to get your audience attention back in the event that they get a little bit disengaged. But one thing you never want to make your audience feel is sick. Who can recall Trish's activity last week? What was one of the things Trish discussed in last week's activity about motion or images that evoke emotion? What's one thing you never want to happen to your audience? Let's talk about it in the chat. Can anyone remember? Brandy, yes, make them feel dizzy. Correct, Lisa, get them overwhelmed. Motion, Jessica, motion sickness. All that's correct. Good job, guys. So you don't want to create the feeling of vertigo or sick or motion sickness. And having too many animations that have a frantic motion can do just as much motion sickness as Trish is saying, as like a still image that creates visual vertigo. So again, you never want to overdo it with the animation, and so you have to be careful not to overdo it because you can create visual vertigo. Another reason animations can be helpful is because animations can be used to help explain abstract or complex concepts. A still image sometimes may not be able to get a point across or an idea across, but the animation can definitely help in explaining what you're intending for your audience to know. Also, let's keep in mind that presentation, as we said, is about storytelling, and storytelling is the focus. So when we think about memorable stories, we can always point out things that makes it memorable. And last week I talked about Star Wars. And I'm going to reuse the Star Wars example again. Star Wars made a lot of notable transitions and animations for a time. When the original Star Wars came out, it was in the 70s. But one of the things, as memorable as those transitions were, sometimes after a while, it became a little cheesy because it was overdone. But it's one of those things where we can think about the pros and cons of animations. Animations can contribute to making memorable stories. And there we go. Woo! Yeah. Who knows where this one's from? Any Star Wars fans can guess which Star Wars this was in? Let's see. I'm really curious. I want to know. Not a New Hope. Brandy, by second one, which one do you mean? The second one ever made or episode 2? Ever made? You're right. Empire Strikes Back. It's Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. So now we're going to go ahead and go into some examples about animation emotions and where to find them. So we're going to go ahead and jump out of the full screen right now. And let's see, we can go into the LMS. Let's jump into the LMS really quick also. Where do I have it? Let me just go from scratch here. Because the LMS already contains tutorials for both PowerPoint and Keynote. And I really do hope that all of you are taking advantage and learning from these tutorials. So we're going to go ahead and go into week 4, maximum impact text 3. So again, the overview of this assignment, you want to make sure that the text that you already finalized, you're going to be adding animations to those texts and slides. So to prepare, you definitely want to do your required reading, which it's only about 7 pages in total of reading that you have. You want to definitely go into your Keynotes training if you're using Keynote. If you're using PowerPoint, you want to do your PowerPoint training. That way you can really, really get a hold of having to create animations. And then that's what you're going to do. Then you're going to submit the assignment. So both Keynote and PowerPoint have a section for animation. So we're using Keynote. I'm just going to go ahead and just point it out here. So when you want to go ahead and animate things, you can build in an action. You can build in. So building in is when your words or whatever you select, it could be like a character or words, whatever you choose to select, you want to go ahead and the build-in mode is where it comes in. So for example, when this is blank on a click, it's going to start out blank and then it'll come in. It'll dissolve right in. You can even adjust the duration speed. Do you want it to be really short or do you want it to be long? Which that's pretty long, 24 seconds, but let's see like 5 seconds. But you get the gist. Then you have the built out, which is the outro. So is the outro going to be a wipe where it leaves? Okay. So you see there, it could be a wipe. If you want to change any of these or add an effect when this is blank, so there's no built-in effect for the spray can. So if you already see here, you can even preview the type of effect you want. You want a little iris to be built in. And then the build out is how it's going to exit. So is the build out going to be like maybe a scale? Scales out. The pivot, you know. Now, the action is how it, the action is the movement and the motion while the slide is playing. So do you want it to go through like a little jiggle and pop? Let's see where, let's go, let's add that effect. So if you will, let's preview it. So that's a pop, but let's make it a longer duration. Scale. Then we're talking about order. So it just see, there we go. Now we're getting it. So you see how it just moved up and down? That was the action during this presentation. Now, when we talk about build order, we're talking about the order that all the animation's coming in. So you can really arrange it. So from the spray can, it's going to do a pop, you know, or you want to wipe it. You want this to, maybe you want the words to jiggle in the middle. So you see how we can just rearrange things, and then you can also always preview it. You can select which ones you want to preview. So when you go ahead and you're working on this, definitely preview it. Make sure everything flows right. Let's see. So there, all that we just built. Yes, Brandy. Brandy just asked a great question. Can we do this on PowerPoint? Yes, you can. In the LMS there is a keynote and PowerPoint tutorial that you can follow through on. But for the sake of time, we're just going to focus on just showing that in Keynote how it's done. So when we go ahead and do slide transitions, it applies the same. Your slide transitions are located here, again, in the animation. And you can even, and there's a multitude of transitions that you can have placed on the slide. You can do you can have it fade and move. You can do a grid. See, that's pretty cool. Let's talk about blinds. What about a blind? Boom, and we go right on into it. So definitely have fun and play around with it. You know, this is now the time that if you want your text to go flying from the left to right, right to left, in the position you can. If you want to give it like an earthquake effect, give it that earthquake effect. You know, also a tip in the future. If you never know which type of transition to use, fading in and out, or also known as dissolve transitions, are always the safest transitions. Okay, so we're going to go ahead.
Okay, I guess that's my cue.
Yep,
That's
that's
Homer Simpson. So thank you, Nicole, for prepping them up and getting them all set on the cool little intricacies that they could use in their presentations to enhance just the fluency and flow of how their presentation guides their audience through their message, their idea. So by the time that you get to that call to action, your audience knows exactly what decision they're going to make with your story, with your delivery, with the images that you choose to complement your story, and the transitions. The transitions set a tempo, set a pace, and even give some emphasis on points. So even though it's very slight, they can enhance the way that your audience reacts to your presentation. So that was a cool segment and something that you want to take with you as you talk or think about the tweaks that you're going to create for the final draft. So in the next few days, Nicole and I are going to be looking at the rough drafts and looking for how you're applying all the different activities and concepts, whether it was during our go-to sessions in here, or it was the feedback that we gave you in the maximum impact activities, and we're looking to see that you started to apply those ideas to your draft. Now, of course, it's a draft for a reason. So showing, or this month was about finding the value in the process and showing that this is a process that goes from the plans to the draft. Understand that we understand that. We're not looking for perfection in the draft. We're looking that you are applying the concepts. Now, the final draft is a little bit of a different story. Now, of course, we're not looking to see that you're Steven Spielberg overnight and you just know everything there is about Adobe products and you're this fabulous graphic designer. What we're looking for is improvements. So the final draft is really your staple on this month. It's a culmination of what you accomplished this entire month. So you have been through the process. You planned, you wrote, you rewrote, you edited, you record your voice for your draft, and now it's taking the time to take all that feedback, whether it's from your instructor or maybe you reached out to your classmates and got that extra feedback, and you're applying it to your final draft. And Nicole says, we want to see that you're applying the feedback and building upon the foundational skills we wish to see improve. And that hit the nail right on the head. We're looking for your improvement. And it's all the lessons, all the assignments, all this is bringing it all together into the final product. Something that you could be proud of, something that you can build off of from here on out. Know how exciting it is that you're on this path to fulfill a dream that you had. And there's still so much skill set and so much experience and so much portfolio building that you can add on to this project as you move forward. I have some students that are actually using this as a presentation or pitch that they have to do in their current position or their current careers. And I think that is fantastic. It just shows the value of a class like this and giving you the skills to be able to maybe ask your boss for a raise, or maybe go for a higher position that you had your eyes set on. So it's pretty cool that not only the skills and knowledge that you learn in this class is just for this class. It won't be the last time that you build a presentation. So we're hoping that you take all of that with you to evolve and enhance your pathway here. Okay, we could go to the next slide. Oh, look, he moves. Yay, animation. Okay. No updates equal a potential bad grade. Okay, so I'm slipping off the Snow White cap and I'm putting on the bad cop cap for a second. And it's really for your own good. So you have to understand that instructors, whether it's Nicole or I, or it's your instructors that come after us, or even your instructors that came before, we're all here to guide and help you as your mentors. And the time that we spend on your presentations or activities to give you back the feedback, it's to help you grow. It's to help you learn and grow always. So when we look at the transition from the draft to the final draft and we notice that there isn't any changes, it gives us the indication that our feedback wasn't read, or it wasn't absorbed, or if it wasn't understood, there was no contact to ask us any questions. So now is the time to be asking those questions and not be in fear to ask those questions, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help and guide you and take our time and take our energy to give you energy to build a fantastic final presentation. So understand that if there's no improvements, there's nothing to really improve your grade on or enhance your feedback, or there isn't any room to go from there. And that is taking away from the entire point of this class. So we'll be looking for ways that you took our feedback from your drafts and you applied it to your final presentation. That is all-encompassing. It means that you've been paying attention to everything, not just the feedback, the go-to sessions, the readings, the interaction with your peers, the insights that your peers give you as well. So we're looking at all of that. While we're on that tip, this is a special month, and it's one that I do hope that you take with you. So normally what happens in week 4 is Sunday, the class closes, and Sunday is the deadline. And by Monday morning, we're talking as early as 12 a.m. on Monday morning, a new class opens. So in a usual setting, you're moving on to a new class, and we're moving on to a new class. We're inviting our new set of students, our new sections, and to be able to give them the attention that we gave you and the guidance and welcoming them into the class and letting them know what it's all about. Plus, give you feedback on your final and make sure your final grades and feedback is getting done. Week 4 assignments should be submitted on time, and it's for the reason of mutual respect. our intentions as instructors are for you to accomplish your month, accomplish CRP, and move on to the new class with a fresh head, to make sure that you're open-minded and fresh to absorb the new philosophy or the new concepts that you're going to learn, the new skill, and be excited about that instead of being locked or pulled back into last month because you still have an assignment to turn in. So it's our intention that you move on with a fresh head, and we can welcome in our new classes with a fresh mind as well. I don't think, I hope that's not harsh. You know, I don't think it's being too harsh. Nicole says, questions are never a bad thing. I totally agree. Your question can be the same question that any other student has. We always address it as a class for everyone to learn from, of course. Of course. So know that I say that with love and mutual respect. However, in this month, you put the holidays in the mix. So as of midnight on the 23rd, you guys are on holiday. You're on vacation, which is a very rare thing when you think about the school that you are in. It's month after month, class after class. It's a constant wheel turning, spinning and turning. So when a vacation comes up or a holiday comes up, you want to take advantage of that time to take a breath, to reflect, to refresh, rejuvenate yourself, take your mind away for a little while. And the same here. Instructors are on that same hamster wheel as you are, month after month, class after class. And we have sections of students. So where we have 50 plus students that we're taking care of at any one time. So this break is something that on our side is needed as well. So as of the 23rd, you guys are on holiday. As on the 24th, instructors are on holiday. So we're emphasizing that you submit on time. That way we can close out the month together and we can go and rest, be with our family and friends, enjoy the holiday season, and come back with a fresh head, fresh mind. Cool? Does that sound cool? Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You know, I have to be backup sometimes, but it's necessary, and we have your best interest at heart, for sure, for sure. Okay, so with that said, do you guys have any questions? Do you have anything at this current moment, whether it's anything that has to do with the project or the class itself? Do you have any questions that we can help you with live when it comes to the final presentation? Thank you, Lisa. I try. I don't have nasty bones in my body. It doesn't work. I've tried it. It doesn't work. Okay, Darnell has a question. I have a question. Does each slide have to include an animation if it don't deem necessary? Absolutely not. It isn't a requirement that every slide has an animation on it. It's like Nicole was saying, sometimes animations are not necessary, and if you have too many, you could be lending to visual vertigo. And we all know what visual vertigo does to our audience. It turns them off, it makes them dizzy, they get distracted from your message. Oh yes, Nicole brings that up a good point. For 4.2, the maximum impact assignment, however, that activity is made for you to practice how to use the tools. So for that assignment, we're looking to see that you're using animation on those slides where it is appropriate. But for your final presentation, no, it's not necessary to have animation on every single slide. Cool? Great question, by the way. Cool. I also want to address that. I'm glad that Nicole, that you brought that up, because there were some assignments that I got that were mixed up. So I received slides from the draft in the maximum impact assignment. And I want you guys to understand that the maximum impact assignments are an activity that's separate from the presentation that we're asking you to build this month. The activities like you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, that's practice in letting us know that you know how to use the functions of the tools, but your presentation is separate from that. So make sure that you're not turning in your final presentation slides for the maximum impact assignment. You're actually using the template that we provided since part 1. Cool? Okay, so before we move on, and of course, my partner in crime and education, of course you can jump in.
Yeah, I wanted to expand on that note that you just said, Trish, about you making sure you use the template. I've had students that for the maximum impact assignment, they just go ahead and change all the slides, and it's happened before, and even in past classes. So I really want to put emphasis that you guys to read the instructions. So this is me being bad cop. And nowhere in the instructions does it say to alter the presentation. We already give you the landscape. We already provide you with the presentation. All you have to do is just apply the concepts we've taught you in regards to creating text, because that's what this assignment is. We want to see you build and apply what we're teaching you. So please do not alter the slide images. Don't shrink them. Don't edit them in any way. Leave them as you've received them. All you have to do is just add the text, readjust the text. If you're, again, copying and pasting or putting too many words on your slides, all you have to do is just reformat those texts. And then once you, put it this way, by this week's 3.2 assignment, all your text should not be paragraphs. It's something I'm seeing a lot that happens over the months, is that students continue to copy and paste their presenter notes, or to continue to just put bullet points, and they're not applying what Trish and I have been expressing as good ways to form a presentation. So I'm gonna note also the my sections. If I'm seeing you're not applying the feedback, if I'm seeing that you're copying and pasting your presenter notes on your slides, if I'm seeing that you're altering the slides as well, creating dead space in them, I will deduct from your clarity and organization as well as your relevance and thoroughness for not applying what we've been instructing you. Is that clear to everybody? That was my little version of being bad cop. Sorry, guys, because it's just, I see this often every month with students. And I understand that in grade school, you're taught to always put a lot of words on a slide. So just like how Trish and I have mentioned, when you're doing presentations, you're most likely changing the way people are thinking. We are doing that for you guys as well. We're changing your way of thinking about how to do presentations. So that even includes using templates. PowerPoint and Keynote comes with templates, but it's never good to use those sometimes because everyone around the world has seen them. We're trying to step you out of the box and get you away from your comfort zones and away and deprogram your way of that you've been taught. So definitely apply our feedback. We want to see you apply the feedback because we want to see your growth. Shakira, how small of a phrase are you looking for? Like how many words? Put it this way, you shouldn't have more than, for at least for my section, no more than, I've said it in the feedbacks for some people, no more than 5 words with your maximum impact. Sonia just asked, how do you grade our projects? By hitting play in the presentation program and seeing how we do the animation? I find it confusing knowing what you'll see. Like, will you know to click to see? Yes, because when I go ahead, that's a good question. So for your 4.3 assignment, no, I'm sorry, 4.2 maximum impact assignment, what I do is I take the PowerPoint and Keynote and I put it full screen, like how you see how we have it, and then I just hit the space bar or I click, and the animation will start. And so that's how I'll know if you guys are putting in your animation. Right. Does anyone have any more questions about 4.2 or 4.3 before I forward it? I bring this back to Trish. When we are speaking, do we leave room to slide animation? Are you talking about Patrick, are you speaking about, so Patrick asked, when we are speaking, do we leave room to the slide animation? Or we leave room for slide animation? There's not any slide animation, as I've showcased here, is just an effect that you apply. It doesn't take up time in your presentation. Unless you want it to, where you can adjust the duration.
I think what he's asking is like if he has, say he has a picture and then he has words next to the picture, does he leave blank space for when the words come in? Is that what you mean?
Well, that's okay. And it's going to be about where you position everything.
Yeah, so just make sure that you have balance on the slides. When the text does come in next to the picture, is it balanced? Is there alignment, or is it just comes in anywhere?
A good example of this would be how we did this here. Hold on. The previous slide, if you guys can see, just a second. You see how the picture was already there, but then, yes, there is space that we left because that's where we have the words coming in, you see?
Right.
So you're going to already have it there. You're going to already have all your words and your text position where you want it and your image position where you want it. And then all you have to do is apply the animation. And then when we hit the space bar to view, the animation will just play. So it's just about you already pre-positioning everything.
Does that make sense, Patrick?
Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. Does anyone have any more questions? This is good.
Adam says, I watched the video on how to make the recording on PowerPoint. What I didn't get was how to have the recording start at the beginning of my slide.
Well, the recording will start once we hit spacebar. Unless you go to the settings where you want it to auto start.
So my suggestion would be that you have your presentation up and you have the video up and you watch, pause, and then do.
Sonia said, do you want them on auto start? They don't have, honestly, I don't, me personally, I don't have a preference if it's on auto start. If you want to auto start it, you can. If not, I'm just used to always pressing the space bar. I think what's most important is that the audio is there. Whether it auto starts or I have to click, I want to make sure the audio is there.
It is. That's definitely most important. You want to have audio in your presentation, especially that it's that major oral communication component. However, you want to ask yourself that as you progress in the program and you start making presentations for professional companies, are they going to want to click through your presentation? So it's definitely a good skill to have. So it would be up to you, but it's definitely a good skill to have. If I have animations that come before, then there's like 3 clicks before you get to the actual audio. Well, Adam, that's going to be something that improves. So you might hear in our feedback how you can improve that. But if that's the case, that's the beauty of the process is to learn and grow as you progress. Oh, look, our students are helping each other out. Doesn't that warm your heart, Nicole?
Yes. So Shakira just made a point on how to help Adam. She said that you can also go to the section in playback once you click on the actual voice clip to set those settings.
Cool. And that's an illustration of what we mean when we say community is strength. That all of you have all these different skill levels and knowledge and experience, and leaving it open to support each other and give each other those hints and support is a wonderful thing to witness. So awesome. Thank you, Shai. Okay, so do you guys have any more questions before we move on? And this is good because when the people watch this back, watch the recording back, I'm sure they have the same questions as you do. So thank you for all for asking those really good questions, and you're helping out your fellow classmates by doing so. Okay, Nicole, I think we could move on.
Okay. Take it away, Trish.
Okay, so this, oh, sorry.
No, I was saying, take it away, Trish.
Thank you. So this goes along the line what we just been saying all along. There's always room for improvement. I know my astrology sign is Virgo, and we tend to be perfectionists. And I only have that in certain parts of my life, not every single part of my life. However, it stunts us from growing because we think everything has to be perfect the first time, and that's not the case. There's always room for improvement. On the flip, the other way that the statement, or the other meaning to the statement, is that you do a draft and you may get 100 from us. You may get 100 because you've applied all the concepts. You're giving us an indication that you understand the concepts that have been taught up until this point. You are paying attention to design and vocal ability and arrangement and all that great stuff that we've been teaching you all month. So in our eyes, for the draft, you applied all that awesome stuff into your presentation. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. No, and you'll find out through our feedback that will give you tips to enhance your presentation or make the necessary tweaks. So know that even if you get 100 for your draft, that doesn't mean that you're done. That doesn't mean that you can just take that file, rename it, final presentation, and submit the same thing. It means that you have been diligent about applying the concepts to your presentation. Make sense? Awesome. Okay, moving along. So the other thing we want you to pay attention to, because part of this, a big part of this class is oral communication. So creative presentation has this oral communication component, and it has to do with voice. It has to do with your register, your timbre, your pitch, your volume, excuse me, prosody, and the vocals are really, it's at the core of your presentation. And Nicole puts an exclamation point. Vocals are big. We've been telling you that story is at the core of an effective presentation. Who is telling that story? You are. Your voice, your delivery, your flow, your fluency, paying attention to your audience, because your audience is the hero. So you are at the center of this presentation, even though that sounds extremely scary to a lot of people. Your audience is there to listen to you. They want to hear your heart. They want to hear your story and build a relationship with you. So it's very important to understand what that is. What is the flow of your story? Do you have a definitive beginning, middle, and end? Or are you speaking in circles? Are you all over the map when it comes to giving your audience direction? So your first draft was all about trial and error and trying that out and giving us that a way to listen and apply that guidance so you can practice enhancing moving forward. Now, you also want to understand that you should have a quiet place when you are recording your voice. This is not always possible. Totally understand. Kids, husbands, dogs, cats, it happens. I will tell you, this is truth. My office was extremely loud, and I had to go out to my car in the parking lot to do my go-to session one day because everyone surround me were so loud that even headphones did not do it justice. So you might have to go into your car. And let me tell you, the car has kind of cool acoustics to it. So any go-to session or video that I recorded in my car sounded really good. Lisa, the bathroom is definitely awesome too. I kid you not, I've done go-tos in the bathroom, but that was because I was at a hotel and I had to go out of town, and I really had no other place to go but the bathroom. So a little embarrassed, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, and you have to find your quiet, and it's okay if you need to step outside of your environment to do so. Next one. Okay, so we all know, especially going into the entertainment industry, that rehearsals happen all the time. You have sound checks, you have practice where the band gets together just to see how everything sounds together on the stage. So it's really important to be able to have some rehearsal time. You want to sound prepared. You want to sound as if you've been telling this story forever. It's not the first time that you've been telling this story. And yes, again, that could be very intimidating, but being prepared it lessens the nerves. I won't say that nerves go away, but it lessens nerves. And to be honest with you, and this is something I found in my own journey, and I'm sure Nicole has a similar story. I'm sure you all have a similar story. But I found throughout the years that nerves are actually a great indicator of how vested I am in my message and how much I care about what I'm about to say, because it's giving me such butterflies and my palms are sweaty and my legs are shaking. But it is an indicator of how much or how important it is. And guess what that does to an audience? They pick up on that. They pick up on how genuine that is because they understand nerves. They understand that emotion. So rehearsing your presentation, understanding your story, it just puts you in a position of being that effective mentor that guides their audience through their presentation and getting to that call to action where you get the response or the desired result that you want. Cool? Cool. Okay, so the next is refine, and refine was actually one of the words in your visual activity where you had to find a visual that illustrated what refined is. So elements such as words and images and videos that you incorporated either in your presentation or in your draft, You want to make sure that they're as crisp and clear as your story is and as your delivery. So with images, you want to avoid pixelation, of course. You want to avoid things that are blurry, unless, you know, as Nicole pointed out in previous sessions, unless they are with the times. If it's relevant to your presentation, you're trying to show the contrast between an 80s image to the 21st century image. But it has to have a purpose. So you want things to look as crisp and clear as possible. And throughout this month, we've been giving you some assets like Unsplash and Pixelbee, I think is one of them. There's tons of places that you could find really crisp and clear images. And as long as you give credit where credit is due, you're fine. Just like Nicole put on the slide, imaged by the artist from Pixabay. Cool? Yes. High, Nicole's yelling at us again, but a high resolution is the way to go. Cool. Okay, slide uses, and we can actually go to the next slide too. So we talked a little bit about arrangements. So let's go back in time to last week where we had an activity together. And I'm sure, do you guys recall the activity that I had with you guys with design and images and arrangement? Do you recall the cute fluffy cat that just laid across the Macintosh? Yes. So when it comes to arrangement, we just want you to keep in mind the placement of your images. It shouldn't be a 52 card pile up where you throw all the cards in the air and see wherever they land. So pictures, the same thing. You don't want to throw up your pictures in the air and see where they'll land on your slide. There should be a science to it. We're very what's the word I'm looking for? We're creatures of habit, and as audience members observing a professional presentation, we tend to look at a presentation as very symmetrical. It's something that we just do innately. I'm not saying everybody looks at presentations that way, but we tend to look at things, especially when we're hanging pictures on the wall, we want it to be aligned and symmetrical. So that's something that you want to keep in mind when you're creating your presentation. Again, the audience should be, or their focus should be on your story and listening to your voice and tone and being invited on this journey with you, instead of being confused by what picture goes with what, or why is this coming in from the left side and that is swiping in from the right side. So you have to keep that in mind. And you could go through the next slides fairly quickly, but Nicole had brought up last month, she brought up a really good example of this. And we tend, as an American audience, to read from the top to the bottom or left to right. That's a natural order of things. So you have to ask yourself, does your visual information flow in a way that makes sense? Or you know, if you want your audience to read from top to bottom, that's how everything should be laid out. If you want them to read from left to right, that's how the text, if any, on the slide should read, and keep that flow consistent throughout your presentation. And then, but with a culture like Japan, things read differently. It depends, if you're reading a manual for mathematics and science over novels and comics, there's a shift in direction. So you have to take in consideration the placement and the direction that you want your audience eyes to go in, and you want to be consistent with it. So if they're reading something on the left, and then you shift their eyes to the right, and it doesn't match up, that is going to confuse your audience. So make sure that you are paying attention to placement. That's really the bottom line. What we're getting to is pay attention to the placement, and even read back through your presentation yourself. You should be proofreading and reflecting, and click through the slides yourself and ask yourself, does this flow well? Do I understand what's going on in this presentation? Or even ask your husband, your kids, your wife. I don't know if the cat will answer you, but you could always ask your cat as well. So Nicole says it is important to take consideration the place and arrangement of your text, and this is why it's important to know your audience and how they read. Absolutely. So knowing your audience is probably something that was repeated 1 billion times in this class, and that's truly your strength. Once you know your audience, all else follows. Knowing your audience, you're speaking directly to the people that you want to build a relationship with. So knowing your audience is key. The other thing is paying attention to contrast. So right now, if you were to look at the slide, it's very difficult. I mean, you really have to strain your eyes. It's very difficult to read the wording within the grass and the dirt. Does anyone see that now? With ease. Yes, thanks for clarifying that. Okay, Sonia says yes. Brandy and Lisa say no, but not with ease. Okay, it is very difficult. Do you want your audience squinting at the presentation, trying to figure out what you're trying to illustrate to them? Okay, so other than placement and paying attention to all the visual tools that you have at your fingertips, whether it's Keynote or PowerPoint, you also want to pay attention to the font size and the font color and arrangement. You want to make sure that if this is a point that you're trying to make, your audience should be able to read it with ease and follow it with ease. Make sense? Okay, So now you see in this slide, it's clearer. We can see main point, and the presenter now has the power to tell them what that is, because it's clear as day and their story will match the clarity. Cool? Cool. And then we want to talk, see how I took a deep breath there? See what I did there? We want to talk about breathing space. Breathing space is that clutter. We were talking about clutter in the activity that we did last week. So too much, when a slide is overcrowded, your audience gets overwhelmed and you almost feel like your throat is closing up because everything is so compact and confusing and there's too much going on. So you want breathing space. You want to be able to have focal points in the images that you choose, so you can emphasize certain things. You can separate points and it's not bunched all together. Leave the collages to your Insta story or your Facebook page, or even to hang on your bedroom walls. Leave the collages there. For professional presentations, you want air. You want your audience to be able to be comfortable being invited into your space. Cool? Background is another thing that we want to emphasize. So Nicole was talking about templates a little while back in this session and how they could be played out. You know, everybody that has Keynote has the templates. Everybody that has PowerPoint has those templates. And sometimes templates could interfere with the images that you choose. So it really depends. Like, some templates have so many line designs that are going on that if you use an image that is busy, it distracts the audience from the power of the image. So Nicole is pretty much on the same page as I am, and vice versa, that you try to stay away from the templates and maybe use something more solid. And when it comes to enhancing your slides or enhancing the images, you're using the tools that PowerPoint and Keynote have to offer, or any presentation software that's that you're using. And Nicole says, yeah, it can interfere with your creativity because the templates are fixed. So you're kind of painting yourself in this box of what the template has to offer, and there's no room to go outside of it. So it could definitely stunt your creativity. I agree. Also, you want to pay attention to the color scheme. So we talked a little bit about that last week when we were talking about the use of color. So, you know, that red has a very powerful tone, powerful emotions are connected to red. Or you could use a purple that stands for loyalty, another kind of power color. Not couple, excuse me, power color, and how green exudes money and wealth. Aqua could be actually soothing and welcoming. So you have to first understand the message that you're trying to convey, and think about the colors that you want to use for your palette. Darnell, that is a good question. Now it depends, you know, if you're using a bright yellow and then you choose to use like a white text on yellow, it's going to be a major eyesore. So it has to, and again, Nicole jumped in with, this is where contrast comes in. It's paying attention to your slide color and your font color and what makes everything presentable and clear. Cool. It definitely is important. And I don't know about you, Nicole, but red text on black really gets me too. Like, unless you're promoting a vampire novel, I just don't dig it in presentations. I think it just distracts you so much. So again, oh yeah, Nicole or Sin City, definitely. And along with color and background and breathing space and contrast, of course, you need to pay attention to font type. So I noticed in some of the maximum impact assignments, I'm noticing that every single slide has a different font. Now it's cool that you guys are practicing it with it for that assignment. You're practicing with the different tools, so it's totally okay. But when it comes to your final presentation, you want consistency. So having all different font types on every single slide, it changes, the consistency goes away, and that interferes with the flow of your presentation. It interferes with that clarity that your audience needs in order to be guided through their presentation. Font size, yeah, you definitely want to pay attention to the font size to fit the overall makeup of each slide. Great question, Darnell. So, you know, if you have this grandiose image that is just breathtaking, and then your word that you're putting or your phrase is itty bitty in the corner, it's going to get lost in the grand scheme of things. And then you have to ask yourself, is it necessary? So yeah, font size, it is something that you should definitely pay attention to. And what I recommend, guys, to really understand the layout of your slide is watch your presentation. Bring up your presentation, hit play, and see how each of the slides flow. See how any text on the side, any framing or shadowing, how it looks when it's full screen. That's my advice to you. And I'm going to turn it back to Nicole. She's going to talk about the student services. Oh my God, I'm tired. Student surveys.
Yes, so this is the moment. I think everyone should be, you guys are aware about the student surveys. And student surveys are extremely important for us as instructors as well as the school in general. It's because of these student surveys we grow as instructors, but we're also able to not only improve this class for future students, we're also just able to just help the continued improvement of the school. And it's very important that the improvement of the school and the improvement of this class and the improvement of us as instructors comes directly from you as our students. So as we let you guys know to apply our feedback, know that your student surveys do make a difference in giving us feedback to apply for future students. So definitely when you're done with the class, take the time, fill out that survey. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about our lectures, the assignments, how you feel. Definitely, don't hold back. For real, we're being honest. This is the time to be authentic and to be really honest on what you thought about this course. Don't shy away.
Oh, now see what you did, Nicole? We got Lisa shouting at us now.
Oh, I'm so happy you love this. The shouting has rubbed off on people, I guess.
Shouting has rubbed off, but it's positive shouting.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna kind of wrap this up in the next couple of slides, and forgive me if I get a little emotional, but this is where you're at, guys. You can transform the world, and our author Nancy Durante says, passion for your idea should drive you to invest in its communication. So remembering from the very first moments that we were together and talking about an idea and the way that an idea needs an audience in order to spread. And I made that analogy about the pasta, taking the little grain of pasta out of the pot and throwing it up against the wall and make sure that it sticks. Because if it sticks, then it's ready to be served up and ingested by your family and your friends. So if you take that and you understand that you have that power to spread your ideas, spread your love, spread your innovation, your craft with the world, it's empowering. And you guys are the change agents. You have the power to embrace everything that's in front of you. All this opportunity stands in front of you. You have to be open to receive it. So the universe does talk to us, but sometimes it whispers, and it could whisper very softly in our ears. And if we're not ready to receive that information, it moves on to the next person. So do not be afraid of that inner spirit, that inner passion that you were able to reflect on, and share it. Let it go into the world. Let others revel in your awesomeness, and don't be afraid of it. Take advantage of everything that comes into your path. And I'm not talking only academically or concept-wise, that's in your books or in the activities or the assignments. I'm talking about the environment as well. Your peers, just coming into go-to sessions and talking amongst your peers and your instructors and connecting, building those relationships with each other. That's the heart of transformation. So I wish that for you guys. I know that Nicole's kind of spiritually my sister, and knows that she's right there with me. But communicate, use your voice, use your stories, That's how we all exist. We all exist because of stories. So use your stories.
It only takes one idea that comes out of the mind to be able to go change the world. So put forth your ideas out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just want to wish you guys like I know a lot of people say happy holidays, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Enjoy this time that you have to reflect on the decisions that you made and come back fresh with a new outlook and ways to enhance your path. And that's really it.
That's it. Thanks, Trish. And thank you, everyone. I know that we're going to be wrapping it up right now. Just so you still have another week with us. This may be the last go-to session, but we're only an email and a phone call away.
Absolutely. Hold on to our contact information.
Yes.
We are now an asset for you. The moment that you met us, we're assets. So definitely hold on to our information. Reach out to each other as well. Don't lose that information. Make sure that you're exchanging that information with each other and be well. Thank you, Nicole, for being my partner in crime and education.
Oh, thank you,
And
Trish. I love working with you. We have a great
I
dynamic.
love it. Awesome. So you guys enjoy your evening. Definitely reach out to us, ask any questions that you need, and we'll finish this week awesome.
Cool. I like saying cool. You're gonna get me to start saying cool more.
It's contagious, I'm
It's
not gonna lie.
contagious. It is contagious. So everyone have a good night and a good rest of your week. And as Trish said, happy holidays and happy new year.